The Political Action Committee presents the Roundtable. On the right, Dante Bucci. On the left, Brian Pansy. Yes. And on the outskirts, Brett Barvin. Today's topics, the budget deal, and our predictions for the new year. Mr. Pansies, earlier this week, there was a deal struck between the right and the left on a budget deal. How do you think this came about, considering all the animosity over the summer?
I think a lot of it has to do with Congress's ever-decreasing popularity. And they really only care about themselves, and so they realized that they really had to get a deal done, or else it would be their own heads, really.
Mr. Bucci, one of the things I think you've noticed is that members of the media who support the right have concerns about this deal. Can you explain to us what their concerns are and how you feel about this apparent rift between pundits and the conservatives?
Now, when you mean the media, you're probably referring to the large conservative groups, Heritage Foundation, and
yes,
such of that nature. Before the bill was even voted upon in the House of Representatives, groups such of that nature said to their conservative representatives, "Don't vote for it, or else." The majority of Republicans in the House voted for it; 33 did not. There is a growing rift between the groups and the actual politicians. John Boehner and Paul Ryan are adamantly against the groups in this situation because the point is you have to read the darn bill before you start judging it. The growing rift is that we need to create a bipartisan government, and I think John Boehner and Paul Ryan are trying to do that without compromising principles. And I think the Heritage Foundation is trying to create a government that is like a supermajority. The Republicans are not running under a supermajority, ergo they
concordantly, vis-a-vis.
cannot just jam all the bills they want and all the messages they want in. They need to compromise.
So, Mr. Barvin, as you sit from your seat in the bleachers, tossing hand grenades, what do you make of this?
Well, the deal I thought was, it really came from the conservative pundits, with Paul Ryan leading the bill, and I'm mistaken on who the Democratic
Patty Murray.
is. Patty Murray, okay. But it's a progressive deal that will be set in stone for the next 2 to 3 years, so that we won't have another government shutdown, and of course that's a plus. So the ability for them to finally just get their jobs done is a plus for the whole nation, but also it helps show the actions that we'll be taking in regard to the deficit, in regards to a more conservative approach and cutting the deficit versus then.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
Well, instead of doing final thoughts today, we decided we would do predictions for the new year. And we're going to do a prediction for national affairs, international affairs. Mr. Pansius, what are your predictions for 2014?
My first prediction is on the international stage. I think we're going to see a big shift in the politics out of Russia and Vladimir Putin, and I think we've already started to see some of that coming out of the Ukraine and Syria, and Russia's influence on both of those countries and both of those regimes. And Vladimir Putin is almost taking Russia back to the Cold War era politics, where he's influencing regimes such as Bashar al-Assad, such as Viktor Yanukovych in the Ukraine, and I think he's going to be pulling them farther his way, farther into the Cold War era, and I don't think that is good for anyone, really.
On national front?
On the national front, my focus goes to the elections in 2014, both congressional and senatorial, and specifically in the state of Kentucky, and specifically with a Mr. Mitch McConnell, who is currently the Senate Minority Leader and has been in the Senate since 1985. And I think he faces a very tough race. In his home state, his popularity numbers have decreased tremendously over the last couple months. There's been a big shift in politics in Kentucky, and I think he is not safe, and he may lose.
Mr. Bucci, International Affairs.
To begin with international affairs, I look to the Middle East. Regarding the most recent deal the United States made with Iran, Israel sort of felt that it was left in the dust. And the Israelis were siding with, of all nations, Saudi Arabia on the issue of nuclear arms in Iran. And I would watch out with Israel in the future. I feel that President Obama is definitely, I wouldn't say cutting ties, but loosening ties.
Watch the sass, Captain Sassy Pants.
With Israel, their stances are changing on foreign issues, and I would definitely watch out the way Israel handles that within the new year.
And on national affairs.
National affairs, early in the year there will be hopefully there won't be an issue regarding the debt ceiling. I feel there will be compromise. There will not be another government shutdown as stipulated in the new budget agreement, but there's definitely going to be compromise regarding the debt ceiling on both sides. Both principles won't be compromised on party lines. It's time for consensus.
Mr. Barton.
On China and their expansionist policies. I believe that China is currently unchecked in the world's stage, where they've then expanded where they control their troops out into Japanese lands, and they are hitting fire back from that. And the President Xi Jinping has really said nothing about it. And in the new year, I see them expanding even more and just testing the boundaries of how much the world community is going to let them go.
Nationally?
Nationally, I see as this year was rife with many new states legalizing gay marriage. I see we're moving to a more 50-50 with the states. More states, I think, will legalize it, and then other states will be left in the dust. And I don't think those states will legalize it without being coerced to through possibly an amendment to the Constitution, or else they'll probably never pass it by popular vote.
In Syria, there will be a deal. Assad will stay in power, and the pretense of democracy will exist. Nationally, there will be a younger challenger to both Mr. Biden and Ms. Clinton, who appears during this year for the Democratic nomination for president.
You know what? I have no idea what the hell I'm saying. I just thought it would make me sound cool.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
A younger challenger.
Rumors spreading round United Texas town about the shack outside the game.
There are two doors. Uh-huh. What up, G?
Just let me know if you wanna go to that whole mile on the range. They got a lot of nice girls.